So today we have on air our lumberjack politician, Levi, prime before you, painter, our everything pop culture and lore master, Zach, all bets are off gamble.
That's me.
Our resident social media and photography god, Andrew, not the impeached President Johnson. And I'm here just for the memes, Tegan. No, I did not play baseball pitcher. So we're live. And thanks for joining in. This is our first recording ever, and we're pretty excited to be here. So,
yeah, this is something we've been wanting to do for a while, but it's never got off the ground until like a week ago. So I'm excited.
Yeah, just coming to fruition, and we decided we just had to go for it. So hope you guys enjoy what we have today for you all.
Yeah, so each podcast can consist of a couple topics, and we'll just kind of rant about them and go from there. So, Tegan, we'll probably start with you and your topic of, what is it, gene editing?
Yeah, so the other day I was talking with Patrick, actually, on the way home from work, and Patrick's just a friend for anyone tuning in. We were talking about, like, some of the interesting new things that they're doing with genetics, and we were talking about how they were actually able to take stem cells and make a steak out of stem cells. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but basically they just pulled genetic code from a cow and were able to grow a steak. And it's like they've done it with chicken now. Like they're calling
like a nice T-bone from the test tube.
Yeah.
Could you imagine though? Just like every steak ever was like Kobe beef or like Wagyu or whatever they call it, that like super marbled beef. Just like everything's just filled to the brim with like buttery fat beef.
No, and like that's the thing too, is because they're stem cells, I mean they can like change it into like tenderloin, like they can basically make whatever they want out of this. So people are calling it like there's no like ethics like people who are vegans now, you know, they could potentially have the opportunity to eat this without any like regret or what's the word that I'm looking for, like guilt. Yeah, it's like a guilt-free dilemma. Yeah, it's like a guilt-free meat. So it's kind of opening up this new like ethics of like, what are we gonna do now that we can have this beef without having to kill animals, or this chicken without having to kill animals? You know, I just think it's kind of an interesting step into a different realm of like ethics and veganism / vegetarianism, you know. I know that like for farmers and stuff, like that's going to be an interesting take for them as well, like as far as conservation efforts, like land degradation. Eventually, if this was like to explode up to a point where everyone was eating this stuff, I think that would just be a really interesting like space for like, what are we gonna do now? You know, like there's no take backs on.
I'm kind of curious as to like the I almost want to say shelf life of like the samples, because say there was like some like crisis where like livestock was just like dying out, and if they have like samples of like beef, chicken, pork, etc., could they just like use frozen samples they have to just produce food?
Yeah, like pretty much. Like it's, from what I understand, like stem cells, once they have them, like they don't need that animal anymore. Like there's nothing else that's needed. They're just basically starting from scratch on those stem cells every time. And I mean, you can just pull more stem cells from the beef that you're already making. The only problem is like right now it's so expensive to do that this isn't something that's going to be like on the market for a long time. Like I saw this video of this guy, he was having like one of the first ever made steaks, and they were like, this took like months to make, you know. It's
probably like millions of dollars on top of that.
Yeah,
six months in a tube.
Yeah, exactly.
This nice 6-ounce sirloin.
But it's like shaped like a petri dish.
Just really round, just flat.
Just like a puck of meat.
Yeah.
Dadgum Wendy's is growing burgers in the back.
Yeah, fresh, always frozen beef.
Meat pucks.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it's not going to be something that we're going to have to like debate about for a long time from now, but it's interesting because it's not something that's just going to affect like food. It's not something that's just going to affect farmers, but also like conservationists, people who like...
That'll affect everything.
Yeah.
So like one of the interesting things, we actually talked about this in my philosophy class, is like, what are you going to do with overpopulated animals? Because there's a ton of them. So like, I mean, we're already overpopulated with coyotes and like wild boar. That's like a serious problem in some other states. I don't even know if we have wild boars in Utah. But yeah, so like, what are you going to do with those? Are you going to keep killing them? And then there's going to be like tons of cattle that we're just going to release laws that say you can't have cattle anymore.
Right.
Just let them walk around and they're going to F up people's agriculture.
Yeah.
The ecosystem's going to get wrecked.
Yeah. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Like, we're facing a lot of issues with overpopulation. I mean, if you think about it, the other side of this that I was thinking about with genetics is like, they're also getting to a point, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but like there are a lot of fertility places that can basically go in and change your baby's genes. So like if you want your kid to have blue eyes, they basically can insert that into their genetic code, and they're doing it with tons of different stuff. They're looking into it with like all sorts of different kind of illnesses. So like it's just interesting to see like, where are we going to draw the line on messing with genetic code? Because eventually people are going to like, you already know there are countries that are looking into making super soldiers and stuff like that, you know? So like
Master Chief walking around.
I mean, it's very sci-fi, but we're kind of almost to that point. So we kind of have to like my dad posted something on Facebook recently about like, where do we draw the line at stopping this? Like, cause it is good to like make sure people aren't going to have these diseases, but at the same time, like, we're going to start overpopulating the earth because we don't have enough people dying off, or like, honestly, I don't.
There's an old movie from the 90s with Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman called Gattaca. And
Zach in with the pop.
And basically like society is at a point in that film where like basically genetic modification is like the norm for people, but it's like super expensive. So you have like people who are essentially perfect. They've got like the perfect genes. They're no way prone to getting diseases or like anything like terminal. And then you have like normal people like how we are today. But it gets to the point where like people who have had genetic modification, it creates almost like a class system, and people who don't have like genetic modification like before birth are like second class citizens.
Wow. That's interesting.
I could see that happening very easily.
Yeah. Well, what's kind of interesting too, like, again, this was in the same conversation that I was having with Pat the other day, and he brought up a good point too. Like, right now it's actually like, I mean, it's pricey, but if you find out early on that your kid's going to come out with some kind of disease, I mean, it's just like now we're willing to pay exorbitant amounts of money to medical professionals in order to either prevent or help with diseases that we already have. Like, how much more are we going to be willing to pay to like get rid of that entirely before it even comes out? So I do think it's going to become like a money issue as well, for sure. Like that's
nuts.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest questions with any of these, with gene editing and growing steaks and stuff like that, is if they can do it for a legitimate price, if it would be within money cost.
Right.
If that's the right way to say it.
Yeah, like it's going to take some time before it's widely available just because of how expensive it is, like, for sure.
Vegans aren't just going to go out buying steaks now because it's not hurting animals. They're only going to do it if it's like, oh, okay, this is like pretty close to the same price as a normal cheeseburger or something.
Right. Yeah.
Will it be cost effective?
Cost effective. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, I don't see this happening anytime within at least the next like half century. But like, I do think once, just like anything else, like we have technology that's available now that years and years ago would not have been nearly as widely available, and a lot of that is just cost. So I think that'll be an interesting development as well. But yeah, so
it's a crazy thought.
Yeah.
And also, like, if people are going to be editing genes and stuff like that, because there's always lots of conspiracies around about, like, people hiding cures for cancer and stuff like that. But if we are able to stop any illnesses before they even happen, before the person's even born, is a company or companies or even politicians gonna stop these things from happening because people are gonna do it too well? It's gonna take away money from other companies, and
that's legit too. Like I actually saw a documentary. It was actually about chronic Lyme disease, because like Haley's family has that whole thing.
For those of you that don't know, Haley is Tegan's wife.
Yeah, that's my wife. But we were watching this document, or I was watching this documentary. She doesn't like to watch it because it gets her a little riled up. But like they were talking about it, and it's interesting because pharmaceutical companies will actually like battle out each other for like research from professors, and these professors kind of get locked into this war where they're not releasing their info, and they're just locked into this battle between these two pharmaceutical companies, and it holds back this research. So it's like I think that could be kind of an interesting struggle, as well as like they're battling over it, and this one professor's sitting on this knowledge and just letting it kind of marinate until he gets the right price point that he wants, and that holds back what we can do about it in the actual medical field as well, and that kind of goes along with the conspiracy theory. I haven't done like a ton of research into anything like that, but I thought that was kind of an interesting point as well. Like there are things that are probably out there right now that we just don't know about because the person that discovered it hasn't gotten the right offer yet, Yeah,
I think about that a lot. Like, have any of you seen Jupiter Ascending?
Uh-uh.
No, terrible movie.
Oh, it's awful.
but there's a part where like this girl's like, oh my gosh, how much crap does the world have that nobody knows about? And he's like, oh, we just like to keep it secret kind of thing. But I always think about that, like, how much crap is like that would be so great for the whole world if we just knew about it.
Oh, they probably cured cancer like a decade ago. Like,
yeah. I've heard of
they're
so
just sitting on it.
It'd be so
for
dark,
people that
though.
know the cure for cancer kind of thing. And like, there's a dude I used to work for who used to own like medical clinics. I don't know if that's the right way. But each medical clinic was owned by one doctor, or run by one doctor. So it was low income and it was in Texas. But he said he knew one of them that knew the cure for cancer. And that guy had to go into hiding. This is just hearsay, so who knows, But.
Right. No, it is interesting to think about, though. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
But
all right,
let's switch over to a lighter note.
We got Zach here on Disney Plus and how it's going to affect streaming.
Right. So if you're living under a rock, Disney Plus came out about a week or so ago, and I think we've all had an opportunity to like consume it in some shape or form, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think there's like so much content on there that's just, and it's like quality content,
It's beautiful.
And, like you ever been in those moments of like when you just log on to Netflix and you just literally spend like 20 minutes going through Netflix, and you're like, oh, like
I could have watched something by now.
like you're like, I guess I can watch that. I'll just see what else there is.
When
Like
I do that free week trial,
yeah,
that happened a lot. That's after 1 week, and then I was like, I'm not gonna stick with Netflix after this.
yeah, and then you pay like $15 a month for that if you want to like stream it in like 4K and have like multiple screens. But like Disney Plus, there's always something I want to watch on there. Like I went through last night and I sat down on my couch and I was like, I want to watch a movie before bed, and like I was like, Zootopia, okay, doink. Like, and then I pay $6 a month for that, so that's amazing. And I just want to like get your guys's like input and just see what you guys think about Disney, like get everyone's opinion. And then there's something else I wanted to talk about in regards to like streaming services, but I want to hear your guys' like thoughts on Disney Plus.
Unpopular opinion. I'm kind of mad that it happened, just because you know that they're like doing it for money.
Yeah.
Like totally a money move. But a lot of larger companies seem to be doing that, like Apple, for example, or I don't know. Disney's like the perfect example actually, but they just try to like corner every little cent off of you, and they know that we'll pay for it, and here we are paying for it.
Yeah.
And I agree, like it's really good content, but at the same time it was kind of already out there in the first place. The only thing that changed is where you get it, and now we're paying for an extra thing, because I mean, as horrible as Netflix can be, it'll still be around because it's kind of the first streaming service that, you know, made streaming what it is. So that kind of Goliath in that position will probably always be around, but I think, I don't know, Disney Plus will be interesting to kind of see like where it goes. I mean, so far, I mean, personally, I've loved it. I like it, but it just feels wrong to have it.
You're giving in to the
Yes.
mouse-eared god.
All hail the mouse-eared god.
We know what they're doing, but we still pay for it.
It's not those old VHS movies you used to watch.
Oh, but it's as nostalgic as
It
those
really
old.
is.
Dude, that's what I think of every time that I log on now. Is like I'm back home. I'm 10 years old, and I'm watching this on a VHS on my parents' old like tube TV. You know.
When we watched the Goofy movie, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. So, well, my take on it, like, I kind of agree with Andrew. Like, there's some of it that, I mean, there's most of it where I'm just like, I'm just stoked that this is all back out here again and I get to watch it. But I was thinking about it, and like, I think it was actually Levi and I were talking about this a while ago, where you'll see people, I feel like as more and more streaming services come out, people are going to be paying these subscriptions to all these different services just to get like one or two series that they want. And it's basically going to go back to like almost like a cable type system.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was the next point I wanted to make.
Right.
So this morning I went ahead and researched like the most popular streaming services out right now and like what they cost. And so right now I've got got Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, CBS All Access, HBO, Stars, Showtime, and ESPN Plus. Now, if you pay for all of those, you're coming out to $100 a month in streaming services, which is literally like the cable package that everyone ditched to go on to streaming. Like, and I think that's so wild, but everyone's like, oh, it's way better than a cable bill. It's like, honey, you're paying the same amount of money and you're getting basically all the same content. Like, it's wild. But I like Disney's $6.99 thing for how much content it is, because I think they kind of just backed all of their streaming services into a corner and said, hey, we have 4K streaming, we have all of this content,
right?
You can watch on like 4 devices at once. Oh, and by the way, it's like $7. Whereas you have Netflix, who has probably potentially just as much content hiding in their library, and it's literally double the price.
Yeah.
I'm totally cool with it. So like, I know I differ from you guys on this, but I think Disney Plus is freaking great, and I love the streaming things, because like, I'm not somebody that would buy all the streaming services. I don't even have one. I'm probably gonna get Disney Plus, but like I wouldn't ever pay that much. So like, I wouldn't get cable, because I wouldn't want them to wrap that all in a giant package and make me pay $150 a month. But I can handle $7 for most of the shows that I like. Yeah. And if not, then, you know, I can always go to somebody else's house and watch Stranger Things or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is what I do anyways.
Yeah. No, I think that is a good point though. Like, when you see people, like, most people aren't paying for a lot of streaming services. They'll pay for like maybe one, or they'll share with their friends.
I was
like,
just gonna say, people will go in on a subscription together.
Like we were talking about doing with Disney Plus until we found out about the Verizon deal, you know. So like, I think that's a thing too. But like, Yeah, I don't know. Oh, one interesting thing that I found out about Disney Plus earlier today was that if you have a park membership to Disneyland, you get like a couple years free.
Whoa.
So like if you have a thing to the actual park, you get a couple years of Disney Plus
How much
for
is
like
a park
free.
membership? Like a season pass?
Yeah, no, it's like an abhorrent amount of money.
$3,000.
But
Probably
still,
more than
like that's
$3,000.
kind of an interesting. That's kind of like a cool deal that they have. Like if you have a park membership, like you already get all the Disney content. So I thought that was kind of interesting too.
That's one great thing though, is they came out of the gate with lots of great content. I mean, with The Mandalorian, which is freaking amazing.
Oh yeah.
And only $7. And like you said, it's backing the other companies into a corner. So like, I'm totally for it because it's more competition.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It creates competition.
Yeah, everybody's gonna have to release better content.
Either that or
Like
I
Netflix is gonna have to
can't
get
see
rid of crappy
prices
shows.
being adjusted, but like I think this basically tells all the other streaming services that like, hey, like you need to step up your game or like get out the way. Because honestly, in my own opinion, there's like, aside from like a couple comedy specials and like maybe like Stranger Things and one or two other like originals on Netflix, there's honestly not much going for it in my own opinion right now.
No, for sure.
And a lot of their content just got pulled off within the last 6 months to be put on Disney Plus. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and some of it's waiting for the contract to end, so it
yeah,
too
like
can be
like
pulled
the
off
like
of
the
Disney
remaining
Plus.
Marvel and Star Wars movies that are just sitting there on Netflix are just waiting for that contract to expire.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally love it, but I also totally see the downsides to it as well. But I'll just reap the benefits for the time being now that we have it and already got it with the Verizon plan. So
Disney's steadily taking over the world.
yeah,
All hail the mouse-eared god.
yeah, that's right.
Hail.
All right.
Well, anybody got anything else to add?
I think that's all I had for right now. So
No, I'm good.
Alright,
I had
well.
all I need to say.
Next time, we'll see you on the Zalt of the Earth podcast.
have a nice
Signing
week.
off.
See you guys.
Later.
We need a
Mike Rush, signing off.
Mike Grotch, signing off.